Chris, I think it's safe to probably get started.
I'll get off mute then. All right, so welcome everyone to this Viral Vector Services panel. We've got some folks together to kind of talk about Viral Vector Services as a company, which is a Thermo Fisher Scientific company. Want to introduce ourselves and what the company's about, some of our experiences, how you can kind of step into the industry, and some of the opportunities that we have at Viral Vector Services. So I'll start by a quick overview of like what Viral Vector Services is. And we are a commercial gene therapy company, which means we manufacture gene therapy products for other companies. We also have laboratories that develop those technologies. And recently, as of about a month ago, we're an approved commercial facility actually manufacturing a gene therapy for a very rare form of cancer, which is pretty amazing stuff, and really kind of cutting edge on the technology front. And so my name's Chris Garofalo. I graduated from UNH in 2008. I have a BS in biology. And right after college, I started in the healthcare field in a hospital, and moved eventually over into Biogen, working in a quality control lab, which is a really great starting point for folks. Really entry level, gets you exposed to the industry. And I did that for about 8 or so years before moving over into IT and then into quality assurance, and really getting to kind of see the process and the company and all the different areas of the companies as a whole. So it's a really awesome kind of industry, lots of fun things going on. So, any questions that you want to ask about that, feel free. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce the rest of my panel here. And I'm just going to go in the order that I see their names appear. So it looks like Mark, you're next in my list of names.
All right, hello everybody. I'm really excited to be here to talk about viral vector services and manufacturing. So my name's Mark. I am the senior manager here in Lexington, in the downstream manufacturing group. I manage a team of about 30 to 36 people. And our responsibility is to purify viral vectors. And our site is treating, right now, currently, we're treating Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. That's our target disease that we're trying to help our client treat. I first got into the industry back in 1998 at a small startup called Antigenics, and then worked there for a number of years, and then went to Biogen. I was going back to Antigenics, I started out in the manufacturing group, and I've pretty much stayed in the manufacturing group for my entire career. It's been a good part of the industry for me to be in. I graduated with a biology degree, bachelor's of science in biology, and like I said, got an entry-level manufacturing position, moved up in various leadership positions, ended up at Biogen, much like Chris, and continued in the upstream portion of the process, which is cell culture. So, some of you may have learned some of the cell culturing techniques in school. We apply those in manufacturing cell lines and growing up the product in the cells. And then I moved over to downstream and learned the downstream process. So there's been a lot of learning opportunities along the way. And most recently, with Brammer coming in, Brammer took over the manufacturing plant in Cambridge, and I was part of that transfer and learned a whole new part of the industry, viral vectors and gene therapy manufacturing. So it was very exciting, time for me to learn, a whole new branch of the industry. And from there, in Cambridge, I moved out to Lexington to open the site here and build the capabilities of our team here. And we've gone from dirt floors and a shell of a building to a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility, completing our first round of GMP runs recently and continuing moving forward to get into our validation runs for potential commercial launch of a product here. So it's been a very exciting time, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions about getting into the industry, how manufacturing can help you. I look at it as a jumping off point for some people and for their career, and maybe temporary, but and for others, maybe long-term career. I've personally helped chemies from University of Rhode Island, get into various positions in the company, whether it's engineering or in the quality group. So it's manufacturing is a great place to really learn about the industry and get your foot in the door. So at some point, if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thanks, Mark. I think Tyler, you're next on my list here. Tyler, you want to introduce yourself?
Sounds good. I'll be a little shorter since I haven't worked as long as Mark, but I graduated from, my name's Tyler, and I graduated from UNH back in 2016 with a chemical engineering degree. Since then, I worked at a company called DPS, which is a design engineering firm. So we actually designed a couple of Thermo Fisher's VVS buildings. And I started here in September in the Global Process Engineering Group as a process engineer, and working on a couple of projects with a few of our sites, and a site we're going to be starting up in Plainville to manufacture cell and gene therapy products.
Great. Tori, it looks like you're up next.
Sure. So, hey, everyone, my name is Tori. I actually recently graduated with the class of 2020 from the University of Michigan. I started my career here at this site in Cambridge, Massachusetts, working in quality. So I could answer any kind of question about working here as an intern, working here as a new grad, balancing work and graduate school. I'm in graduate school now, after school or after work. And just kind of more about the excitement and opportunity to join gene therapy. And just something that I want to share with all the students is that this is a really great company to start your career. So just want to let you guys know that we're looking for new grads and people from UNH. So really excited to be on this call.
Great. Misbah?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Misbah Anwar. I am the MES supervisor here at Lexington. So I have a team of engineers, and I'm in the process of building a full-fledged team here. I have a background in chemical engineering. I have a little over 10 years of experience in the industry. And just to kind of, highlight some of the things in my career. So I graduated from UMass Amherst, and I had a couple of co-ops, which actually opened up the pathway towards, my career in the pharma industry. And from there, I basically, joined a company and spearheaded, automation. And so I kind of built my career within automation, and then transitioned over towards process engineering. And so I've worked in, the GMP environment, and really heavily involved with, upstream, so cell culture development. But I've kind of worked across board and, understanding the process that we have. So yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have, whether it's in regards to co-ops, internships, and really engineering if you're interested, and how to get into the door. So yeah.
Great. I think we got two more here. So Blake, sorry, I missed that you had jumped on the call. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure, not a problem. Thanks, Chris. My name is Blake Marshall. I've been with Thermo Fisher since August of last year. I joined the industry back in 2013, working for Genzyme, which was eventually became Sanofi, and got to get my foot in the door through some experience I've had. So I actually have a BA in history, so no science or technological background in my education. And I kind of dabbled with a few jobs. I was a locksmith for a little while and worked maintenance, and kind of got my foot in the door making buffers, working night shift, and kind of excelled through the industry itself. So I learned a lot of it on the job, which is great. And I think, going back to what Mark was saying is, with manufacturing, all roads lead to manufacturing. So if you're interested in working with compliance, with engineering, with automation, we are interacting with all these groups on a daily basis. So it's a great kind of melting pot to be involved. And kind of, if you want to see where your career is going, I highly recommend, sorry, my cat is attacking me right now. Yeah, I just, wanted to say that, since being here, I was hired on as a senior manufacturing associate. And within a short period of time, I was promoted. My work was recognized. And it's a great place to work for if you actually want to kind of feel like a person, not feel like a cog in a machine. So it's, yeah, I would love to speak more to it. So if you have any questions for me, please holler.
And lastly, probably the most important to all of you is Michelle, who is one of our recruiters. So.
Thank you, Chris. Hi, Blake. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm one of the talent acquisition recruiters here for Thermo Fisher. I've worked in all different business units, but I'm solely dedicated to the Viral Vector Services group. I'm actively recruiting for many roles in all of the sites in Massachusetts. So I'm happy to join. But one thing I did want to say is, it's a new grad, is connect with people. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Take a look at multiple opportunities. Don't be afraid to apply to more than one role with Thermo Fisher, or any company really with Thermo Fisher, because really the more people you talk to, the better. Right now you're at the beginning of building your network, and this is an amazing cutting edge industry to be in. There's a lot of folks that want to be in it. So if this is something that you're interested in and passionate about, absolutely, the more people you talk to, the better, and connect with me directly on LinkedIn if you wish.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So with that being said, does anyone have any particular questions or anything up front that they want answered, or any burning questions from those amazing introductions we just had? If not, I can just keep talking.
I actually had one question.
Okay.
I'm going to be graduating at the end of May with my bachelor's of arts in biological sciences. I'm very interested in continuing my education, and at some point in the future, I plan on getting my PhD. And I was wondering if this company offers opportunities or aids in higher education.
I'm going to let Tori take that, because
Yeah, I actually know all about that. So fortunately, this company has a really great higher education policy. $10,000 a year for any kind of higher education, for Master of Science or PhD. I think you need to work for the company through that whole time, and also continue with the company for a year after you finish your degree. But huge benefit to working here. It's a big chunk. So a lot of people I know get their master's degrees while working. So great opportunity to learn more. And I've found that my supervisors and managers are really supportive of me going and, doing school after work. So yeah, great environment and a good benefit too.
The one thing I wanted to add to that is an extra added benefit is you can apply for tuition reimbursement after 90 days of employment, where most companies, you have to be with the company for a year before you can apply. Thermo Fisher has one of the most gracious policies that I've seen in my 15 years of recruiting, and a lot of people like Tori take advantage of it.
Thank you. Sorry, my delayed reaction. I'm writing stuff down.
No worries. Any other burning questions? Feel free to plop them in the chat too. And one thing that I think was brought up, I think both Mark and Blake, you highlighted, the experiences you gain from like different things. Like I said, I had a BS in biology. Only took bio labs, and then my senior year, I think I took theory of coaching and as many coasting classes as I could. But then when I got into the industry, I really was exposed to all the kind of things that they were speaking of, like all different areas. I did 2 years in IT, and I've never taken like a computer sciences class or anything like that. So it was really interesting just to know like the technical expertise that you can gain just from working in a lab with all these computerized instruments and systems, can gain you enough experience to actually get a job in a different area. And it wasn't like typical IT. It was like, this weird blend of like sciencey IT and engineering that really exposed me to things I'd never been a part of before. So it's really interesting that those types of things are possible. So like you're not limited to, if you have a degree in chemistry working in a micro lab, like those opportunities are there because the fundamentals are there from science. And, with that being said too, like all this science is now being driven by technology. And I know, Misbah, you brought up MES, and I don't know if people know what MES is. So would you mind kind of speaking to kind of what that is, and maybe that'll, pique some interest?
Absolutely. So MES is, it's fairly new to the industry. What it stands for is Manufacturing Execution Systems. And what the MES engineers are doing here at Lexington VVS is, we're working our way into integrating technology out onto what's going on the floor. So when it comes to innovation, when it comes to really pioneering in terms of enabling a digital platform. So, having features that are all electronic versus, paper-based, and finding unique ways of solving problems that already exist on the floor. I think, the engineering team really is going to evolve over time. We already have implemented this on site, and it's a continued process. So there's a lot to look forward to in MES. Yeah.
Let me think of what else we can ask. One thing I know Michelle actually brought up too, speaking of applying to jobs, is my experience when I graduated was, graduating in the midst of a recession, was jobs were hard. And I remember sitting between all of Cambridge. There's so many companies available, and I got my start at Biogen. I think I applied to probably 100 jobs there, and Genzyme, Amgen, all these big companies are there. So not to say like, don't look at VVS. We have plenty of opportunities, especially within Massachusetts. I know a large portion of you are probably from Massachusetts or the area. So we have a Cambridge, Mass facility. We have a Lexington, Massachusetts facility. We have a brand new state-of-the-art facility being opened up in Plainville, Mass. So on the southern part of Mass, which will be the largest viral vector facility in the world, which has the potential for delivering all of these awesome gene therapies for clients with rare diseases, rare forms of cancer. So there is all this tremendous growth within our organization, but within the area in Massachusetts, there's plenty of opportunities out there. But just from our standpoint alone, within VVS, we have those sites plus a site in Florida. And then in the bigger picture of Thermo Fisher, Thermo Fisher is huge. You guys are biology students. You've probably used Thermo Fisher pipettes or fridges, freezers, incubators. So that's a whole nother arm of our company. And I think it's like 78,000 employees now, with sites all over. And I mean, I can't even begin to tell you like the countries and the places that you could go. And I know within the realm of the manufacturing and development side, there's so much opportunity to travel. Unfortunately, COVID has restricted a lot of that. But I know a lot of people who are able to, hop over to Europe, go to the site in Australia, go to, Japan, South America. Like there's so many opportunities there, and that most people don't normally get outside of, working in a sales job or something like that. I mean, there's some really cool opportunities. So I don't know if, Mark, you want to touch upon any of the opportunities within manufacturing? Like what's a typical manufacturing operation like, or what can someone expect to learn in that role?
Yeah. Before I get into that, as you were talking about all the different divisions and things that Thermo Fisher is involved with in making, we get to source our equipment, our consumables through Thermo Fisher. We get to, actually design custom equipment, custom consumables directly with our network. And so we have access to an amazing supply chain, so that, that it's kind of in manufacturing, we definitely leverage the whole Thermo Fisher network. As far as downstream manufacturing, our process starts with, right after the cell culture harvest. So we do clarification through depth filters, and then we concentrate that material down through a tangential flow filtration skid, and then we store that intermediate that's been concentrated down at -80 for a period of time, and then we take multiple batches and then pool them together, those concentrates together, and then we do our downstream processing run where we purify the virus. We use column chromatography. We do affinity chromatography using a porous resin, AAV porous resin, and then we do anion exchange chromatography using a Simultus Q column. It's a monolithic column. It's like almost like a porous stone, and then we do a viral filtration, which seems counterintuitive, but our virus is the AAV virus that we use is around 25 nanometers. So we use a viral filter that has a pore size of about 35 nanometers, and then our process, the purification downstream process, ends with a final TFF, tangential flow filtration. Some people may know it as UFDF, ultrafiltration, diafiltration, and that gets our product at the final, drug titer or viral titer that we need for the drug product, and in the right formulation, in the right buffer matrix. And then we take that, we call that drug substance, and then we freeze it, and it passes on to the drug product team once it passes all the testing that's involved. We do a lot of pH conductivity sampling, testing, osmo. We do filter integrity testing. For the viral filter, we do a gold particle test. So the viral filters have a kit to come with them that the way you test the integrity post-use is passing a gold particle solution through it that is of the pore size, slightly bigger than the pore size of the filter, so you can test that the filter performed the way it was supposed to test or perform. And we interact, we do a lot of new equipment introduction too. We're constantly updating our equipment and bringing new equipment in for new client programs. So there's a lot of opportunity for engineering experience, like working alongside engineers, working alongside manufacturing sciences and technology, the development team, streamlining our processes coming in. And I'd like to pull Blake into it because I know Blake's on the front lines. He's supervisor in the downstream group. So I don't know, Blake, do you have more that you would add to that?
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you nailed the process. It's, with manufacturing, we are the final line of defense, really. We have quality assurance ensuring that, everything that we're doing is by our SOPs or standard operating procedures. But, we are the folks on the front line, and we are the last ones to touch this product before it goes to the client. And for me, when I got into the industry, is I dabbled in a lot of like marketing and business, and it wasn't for me. And I wanted to create or do something with my job that would help other people. And it's hard to do that and make money at the same time. So thankfully in biotech, you get that opportunity because, you know, I for 7 years was working on an orphan drug for Fabry's disease. If you don't know what it is, you should look it up. It's pretty interesting stuff. But as Mark alluded earlier, we're dealing with, you know, Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, with other potential products coming down the line. And you actually get to have, you know, interactions and you hear the stories of the folks that we're dealing with. And it really puts some heavy weight to your job, because, you know, if a batch goes wrong or something, it can affect people's lives. So sorry, my cat again. Let's get it out of here. So yeah, basically it's with manufacturing, it's pretty intense. You know, you have to be a problem solver. Not everything is going to go perfect every time. You know, we have standard operating procedures, but, you know, not every operation is standard. And, you know, some things might happen where there might be a technical issue and you have to work with engineering to fix it or automation to fix it. You have to work with MST, which is their science technologies. And it's a great opportunity if you like problem solving, if you like learning, you know, the process from front to end. You know, I tout the manufacturing horn because I've been in it, and I've had opportunities to leave for quality assurance, and I don't think I'll ever leave manufacturing, because it's just every day is interesting, every day is fascinating. You interact with situations and problems and come up with resolutions, and you feel like you, at the end of the day, you know you did a good job, and you can go home knowing that you did a good job. And that's the one thing I like the most about it. So I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, that's a soapbox I like to stand on too, Blake. And I think everyone here, a lot of times our industry gets a bad rap for being, you know, all these products that are so expensive or overpriced, and what that means. And, you know, people tend to give it a bad rep, but the end of the day, like the amount of work that goes into producing something so safe and then so life-changing, I think we all take value. Like a lot of the times we get this, we'll have these cultural awareness things, you know, why work matters. And you will get the poster about like what they were saying with the muscular dystrophy, like the patients that we're impacting. You know, there's an awesome video out there for a product that we had manufactured called, it was Milasan, which was for a one patient dosage gene therapy. And you know, it was a devastating disease, and it ultimately changed this little girl's life for a few years, and she got a few extra years out of her life. And we were all, you know, either directly or indirectly involved in it. And it's really makes you feel good at the end of the day. Like, you know, all the hard work, all the stuff you're going through, there's such a great feeling to know that you could be affecting someone's life so positively, especially in this space, the viral vectors. Like, the diseases you're talking about, you've probably never heard of, you know, like they're so rare, so devastating, and there's nothing that you can do. And we're actually fundamentally altering people's DNA and potentially curing them. And it's kind of really cool. You know, there's a lot of cool things there. So it's just a fun experience.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Recently, in my molecular biology and biotechnology class, the most recent exam was actually on this topic. So I got some stuff on adenoviruses, AAV, and retroviruses. And one of my questions was on the exam was like designing how I would like solve or help cure someone with it was SCID. And I was wondering if the manufacturing kind of deals also with designing these viral vectors as well as just producing them, or if that was more R&D's place.
Yeah, so I mean, I can speak a little bit to that. Manufacturing, the manufacturing group does not get into the designing of the gene. but you learn the mechanism, and you can dig for as much information as you want and learn as much about the process as you want. So like for our process, when we transfect the cells, the amazing thing is that you're doing plasmid transfection, and plasmids in and of themselves are not infectious or don't cause disease or are not viruses at all, but they code for the, the rep cap and the gene of interest and helper. And so you guys probably all, a lot of you probably have, learned about plasmid transfection, but we're physically taking these plasmids and creating the plasmid cocktail and then putting it into the bioreactor. And it's an amazing, moment, because, at that moment you're transforming that culture that is just cells into a manufacturing plant that will pump out AAV virus with your gene of interest. So to be involved in that process, and if you don't know what's going on, it may be underwhelming, but if you know anything about transfection, and it's pretty powerful to be that close to the science. So although we don't get involved in the design, we definitely get our hands on the production, the designed process. So it's pretty cool to be a part of that.
Chris, we can hardly hear you. I think maybe it's just me, or. Oh.
No, I couldn't hear him either.
Okay.
I have a quick question, more about jobs and stuff while we wait. So I'm a chemical engineer, so I was excited to hear how many chemies were on the call. I am graduating with my bachelor's this May, but I'm continuing on master's, so I have one more year and I'm looking for an internship for the summer. I'm wondering what sort of characteristics or skills you're looking for in your recent grads and interns, and what may help us stand out.
You want me to take that? I'd be more than happy to take that as the recruiter. Tori, I didn't know if you wanted to take that, considering you just went through the process.
I can speak after you. Why don't you go ahead first?
Thank you. And what we look for, or any company looks for, especially when graduation time, right, is what's going to make you stand out. So think, when you're putting together your resume or you're getting ready for an interview, you want to think of the specific internships you've done or projects. Again, what's going to make you stand out versus, could be a lot of other applicants. And really studying the company, making sure you do your homework, which I know might sound elementary to some folks, but I can't tell you how many times I talk to people, and you don't have to know the company. We're a $30 billion global entity. I don't think any one person knows everything that we do, but just know a little bit about the company, research. But I would just say, know what you know and know it well. No one is expecting you to know everything. Just be articulate and passionate about what you do now.
To add to that, as an intern, I found that just being, just asking questions, just ask as many questions as you can, learn about the industry, meet people, make connections, get involved in as many projects as you can, just be enthusiastic, be willing, just, outgoing, just, kind of understanding that you're there to learn and just wanting to absorb. I think that is something that is really important in an intern, and it's something that was a quality in myself where, my former boss asked me to come on full time. So just learning as much as you can is something that I would recommend as an intern, and something that will make you stand out.
And I'm curious as to the motivation for the question. Is it to facilitate getting into an internship, or is it more like, I'm just curious, you know, are you, I'm thinking, so what I'm thinking is, you know, you, through this activity that we're doing right now, you're creating connections. So, you know, leveraging your network. Tori's obviously, you know, been in your shoes already before and is now in the workforce, you know, powerful network connection right there. And you got Chris, who's a former UNH grad, and Tyler as well. So you use your network too. If you know what you want, use your network and they can open doors for you too. So
one last thing is, Catherine, fantastic. I just happened to look at my email and I saw your LinkedIn invite, which will be happily accepted after the call. So yes, absolutely on the right track. That's fantastic.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. So I was like, I'm going to do this right now. Thank you everyone for your answers.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So piggyback on that, the network is the most important thing. Every job I've gotten in this industry has been through, you know, the recommendations of people. And my first job at Biogen, I was referred to by another UNH alum. You know, like it just is the way it happens, is that you meet the people, you work with the people, you demonstrate your willingness, like Tori was saying, and it's very easy to just kind of go on through there. So it's pretty cool. And what I was trying to say before was to answer Hunter's question was, I think it's process sciences and ADA or development would be those positions that would help design. So that's kind of the difference of our organization versus a lot of other CDMOs, is we actually do a lot of the development work for our clients, which is kind of cool. So they help to design assays, design manufacturing processes and stuff, and go from there.
Oh, and along those lines, we did, Thermo Fisher recently acquired Carlsbad, right? California. They manufacture plasmids out there in Carlsbad, California. So, you know, a lot of companies will contract with our group in Carlsbad to manufacture their plasmids. I don't even know how that happens, how plasmids are created, but yeah.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Lydia Poiker. I'm a senior here at UNH. I'm a biomed pre-med student. I also am kind of just figuring out things to do after graduation. I was looking into going on to PA school, but I think I'm going to switch gears. So just kind of, you know, putting out my feelers out to like everyone. Basically, I came across Thermo Fisher and I've heard about it. And I have a connection there in the corporate offices, but I researched the company and I love what you guys do and what you guys stand for. So yeah, I've just kind of had I'm an EMT, I'm a state vaccinator, and I work at a urgent care. And I just was perusing some of the jobs on your website, and I was kind of looking into like a clinical specialist role possibly, and I came across one of your technical specialist roles. I just didn't know if anyone can speak to one of those roles. It is kind of has to do with sales, I've read about. I don't have any experience in sales, but I heard that obviously you can learn through the company. I just didn't know if anyone could speak to that and their experience.
I can. Well, not from the sales perspective, but I used to be on the commercials team. So I can tell you I helped many TSSs find new opportunities. So why don't you connect with me after, and we can set up some time to talk and, you know, get you connected.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem.
Tyler, do you have anything you want to add? I know you're kind of been working on some cool stuff in Plainville as a ground up facility.
Just in general, really putting me on the spot here, Chris.
Come on, anything cool you want to talk about besides nanometers?
Anything at all. Yeah, so I started doing process design. I was a chemie, obviously, at UNH, and getting my first job. I didn't have any internships or co-ops out of school, so I got my first job through a connection, a personal connection. at DPS. So we work doing a lot of design projects. And so as a consultant, you kind of get to experience a lot of different companies and see how they work. And it's a great way to make connections. So like while working there, I met some people at Thermo Fisher and at other sites, so that eventually, I was able to transition to a role here. It's really just building your network. Like once you get into the biotech industry, it's a really small industry, and in Massachusetts, there's just a lot of different companies in the area. So like once you get your foot in the door, it's pretty easy to get like your next job.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point there too about consulting or contracting. I know my first gig was a contracting gig. Like I didn't want to, I wanted a full-time job. I was like, I'm a college graduate. I want the full-time benefits and all this stuff, but I settled for a 6-month contracting term, which turned into a 12-month contracting term, which then turned into my full-time job. But, don't be afraid to take the leaps like that too, because that kind of gets you the industry experience. And a lot of companies like to try before they buy. But at least it gives you like an experience that you may not get elsewhere. And you may get to you get to demonstrate your willingness and eagerness to kind of learn. So it's cool.
Tyler, who did you have for design?
Who teaches it now? Halpern?
Vasu.
Okay, I had Dr. Halpern.
Oh, I love Halpern. I was wondering, it's Vasu's last semester teaching, so I was wondering if he taught it to you too.
No, he was, I don't think he was really teaching when I was there. He was kind of like on sabbatical.
He spent some time in the provost office too.
Yeah,
but
I think
I
that
was just wondering, I'm in process right now, so I was like, it's top on my mind at the moment.
Yeah, I can't tell you the first job I worked at DPS was exactly like that class. It was very similar. So I say when I went to UNH, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do after school. And being a chemical engineer, I thought I'd get into like oil and gas. But once I graduated, I realized like the biotech industry and how a chemistry degree is like very applicable. Even though we don't take a lot of bio courses, like a lot of the stuff like you can relate back to chemical engineering principles. So it's definitely a good degree to have if you want to get into the industry.
That's very good to know. And I've taken a couple like bioengineering and biomechanical courses. I think they are introducing it more into the major, which has been great and very interesting.
That's cool. Yeah. So as I know Blake and Mark talked a lot about the manufacturing. So as like a process engineer, you kind of assist and support manufacturing and help make sure that the equipment's operating as it should. So in design, we like worked on designing the process flow diagrams and the equipment locations in the suite and the suite setups. And then on site, you're kind of like supporting. So if they have something going wrong, you try to go in there and help them fix it and make sure that the equipment's running as it should. So we work hand in hand with manufacturing folks.
That's good to know. It is applied outside, or like it will be it's a very good skill to have. Those process flow diagrams are currently haunting my dreams because I'm just focused so much on them.
The P&IDs and process flow diagrams, you will not get away from those if you work as a process engineer. But it's a lot less math, so that's good too.
I can speak to that a little bit too. Jumping on P&IDs. I think in the pharma world, you see that quite a bit if you're in, for example, automation engineering. That's where you're really not just working on the technical aspects of building an infrastructure, but you're looking at design scopes, design documents, and things like that, and how each document, whether it's a P&ID, a DCS document, anything like that, how they interconnect with each other. And it's really cool. So like I was saying, like the role I'm in is it's MES. We're a team of engineers, but we cross-functionally work with all of these other areas as well. So we work with automation, we work with QA, validation. So knowing how to, again, it's network, but it's also, cross collaborating with all these different areas to really learn about what does QA do? What does validation do? And interconnecting it and applying it to engineering, So I found that if there are any questions about engineering, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. I might try to connect with you after so we can, I don't hog the call. But no,
Absolutely.
I love the interconnection, and especially that's one thing I love about Chemie. I feel like we can hop around and we interact with lots of different things. Thank you. I look
Absolutely.
forward to connecting with you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point for all your degrees. 100%, you can do whatever. You get in the industry, your science background, your engineering background applies. Like, like I said, I started in a lab. I know like Tori has a biology background, but ended up in QA. And like, that's something a lot of people don't look at is the quality jobs because they want to be hands-on science. But there is that with QC in the labs. And then Tori gets to be the quality counterpart on the floor while they're manufacturing, So Mark talked about essentially hands on the product, making the product, actually being the money makers. I'm sure he's happy to hear that. He's the money maker for the company. Tori's there and troubleshooting to make sure that we're making that great product and, you are releasing a batch that is safe and works. So it's kind of cool. And you always get to interact with different people with all different backgrounds. So all the engineers, the chemistry backgrounds, biology backgrounds, history backgrounds, like, you heard it all. So it's kind of a cool industry to be a part of. And you just get to work with these tremendous people that have all these different points of views and all these different experiences.
Yeah, Chris, I just want to hop off that with just saying that I think we kind of washed over the fact that, we are a contracting manufacturing organization. And by that, we are taking on a lot of different products and a lot of different projects. And if you go to an established, company that has, their one or two lines, it's a well-oiled machine. And with a contracting manufacturing organization, you have the opportunity to really put your name on something. Get involved with projects and like they said, work with other departments. I know right now we're working on introducing, new chromatography systems. So, I'm working on project management for that. We're going to be, working on DPDs and work instructions. So I'll be getting my name all over that. And it really allows you an opportunity to get involved with a lot of different projects. It's very exciting. It's got a very startup feel to it. Thermo Fisher is a huge company, but in terms of, viral vector services, it's, we're really getting into this and we're getting on a lot of new clients and a lot of new projects. So if that's something that excites you, it's something that's just not going to be this mundane Monday through Friday thing. It's going to be new challenges every week. And it's something that definitely brings me to work with a sense of excitement. So, keep that in mind with contractor manufacturing. It's always changing. It's always challenging. And it's really cool. I really dig it.
Just to add to what Blake said, everything that he mentioned is something that you can get involved in as a young person as well. So just in my first year in the industry, I've had the opportunity to be involved in regulatory inspections. I've had the opportunity to communicate with our clients, being called to the floor when we have a deviation, reviewing batch records, making sure we're compliant. As a young person, my first year, I've learned so much. It's so exciting. And there are a lot of opportunities here. So just to add to that, this is something where as a person, entering the industry for the first time, you can learn a ton and you can get involved in things that maybe if you were to join like a different sort of company, maybe you wouldn't have that opportunity as much. But here you can do so many different things. Doesn't matter if it's in like manufacturing or in quality or in engineering. You can learn all different things.
Yeah, I think that's part of what you guys were kind of hinting at is like this whole CMO thing. We're such a small company. I think we still have less than 1,000 people, but we have 20 something clients and we're working on 20 something different products for all different indications. You go to big pharma and some of those places are only working on 3 products, and massive companies working on a few things that it's the same thing over and over again, where it can be challenging at times, but it's exciting a lot of the time, where something new is coming your way, and like having the FDA come, having, you know, clients come. It's such a great experience that a lot of people don't get at those larger companies that are more established, because generally they have the massive you know, structures in place, where the startup feel is very real, and it's fun. It keeps you on your toes. So I think we have like 5 minutes left. Are there any other questions that anyone wants answered, or anyone wants to, from the panel, wants to speak about?
I was a little bit curious because I know a lot of us are from UNH. If there are, or what they look like, the opportunities that are still in New Hampshire, if there are any opportunities, what they look like, if they're still in manufacturing and the sciencey portion of it, or if they're more into creating appliances.
Michelle, do you know what, I know there's like IT roles in New Hampshire. I don't think there's really any from PSG or.
I don't think it's a PSG division, so I'm not sure, but that's actually one of the things I was going to say is when you sign up for the job alerts, pick all the locations that you're interested in, because as excited as we are about viral vector, there are different divisions in a lot of locations, and I can help you connect with someone, but we don't know all the ins and outs of all the business units.
And there's a good amount of people that work at the Lexington site that I know commute from New Hampshire, so it can't be that far.
Yeah, no, I know.
A lot of New Hampshire plates in the parking lot.
Yeah,
I'm sure. So
I'm close to the border, so I was just like, I'm close to the border, but I'm on the edge, and I'm close to Portsmouth. And I know you have like 3 Thermo Fisher facilities over there that are nearby, but I wasn't quite sure if they were in the manufacturing or what.
So I was going to say, I'm sorry, I have to jump off, but I was going to send a note in the chat, but I got a chance to say thank you. So I just have to handle something, you know, like we all do. Maybe just not on the floor, but I have to run. But it was so great meeting with everyone. Chris, thank you so much for inviting me. And grads, just, hey, hang in there, be dedicated, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be more than happy to help answer any questions that you have. So I'm sorry I have to run, but I was very excited to be here.
Thanks, Michelle.
Michelle.
Bye, Michelle.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think we're at time unless anyone any final questions. But thank you all for attending. Seriously, reach out. I think the big takeaway here is like network. You know, network, leverage it. Hopefully our organization will have a better presence on campus in the coming future. I think we're going to try to set up that relationship. And then, you know, just don't be afraid to reach out on LinkedIn. Find me on there if you want, send me a message. And I wish you all the best of luck.
I'd like to thank everyone for joining, students and employers. And to follow up to Chris, it's Lori Dameron here, the career director at St. Martin Careers. I met Chris via LinkedIn. I was looking, I was looking for UNH alumni, and Chris has sat on a panel for us at UNH in the past. So I really appreciated his background and reached out to him. He so graciously responded, and this is how we develop our relationship. So I can't encourage students enough to really use the alumni tool on LinkedIn, or reach out to the panelists who are here, because they want to help you help yourself. You just have to take that first step. So thank you, students, for participating.